You'll do it right to celebrate July 4th by throwing a backyard barbecue. Lowe's does it right, too, with July 4th savings to help get you started. Treat yourself to a new grill and save $50 on a Charbroil Performance 5-burner grill, now just $279. And spruce up your landscape before guests arrive and save in-store only with 5 bags of premium mulch for just $10. Whatever you need to get ready for the holiday, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 7/10 while supplies last. U.S. only. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Football represents something we are.
Football is like life. You gotta push.
Fantasy football is about proving that you are better than your friends.
Hold up.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Faceoff.
I'm gonna do what's best for the team.
Where fantasy meets reality.
Pure fantasy football nirvana.
And now your hosts.
Let the games begin.
Anthony Cervino and Michael Hauff.
Welcome back, everybody, to the FF Faceoff. It's a podcast, of course, where fantasy meets reality, and we are proudly brought to you by the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best in the world!
My name is Michael Hauff. You can follow me on Twitter at the FF Realist. My partner in crime is Anthony Cervino. You can be followed at the Real NFL Guru. Anthony, how was your 4th of July?
Mike, I had a great time. I'm doing great. Went with the family and some friends down to Ocean City, which is about 30 minutes south of me, and now I'm ready to do our annual SFB9 mock draft. Super excited about the show.
Absolutely, yeah, we're going to get to that. I'm still in a little bit of an American spirit with the American flag hat. I unfortunately was working yesterday, so I spent the better part of my working day binge-watching Stranger Things, Anthony, which I know we talked about this off air, but you got to get on that. So, telling you. Just watch it and then thank me later.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Right now, I said I'm on Euphoria and City on a Hill.
All right. Fair enough. Well, I'm already done with Stranger Things, so that's probably those Netflix shows. It's like wildfire. But never mind, though. We're not here to talk about that. We are here to do that SFB9 mock draft, which Anthony mentioned to you. It does start on Monday. Slow draft, of course. We'll get to the scoring and whatnot in a little bit. But before we go any further, let's get a little public service announcement from His Lordship.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
All right, guys, you know the drill. If you like today's episode and subscribe to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and leave a comment saying that you have subscribed. And once you're done, we will reply back to as many as we can to show appreciation to you. And also, if you're listening in podcast format, especially you Apple Podcast users, please subscribe to the FF Faceoff. Leave us a 5-star review and some kind words telling everyone why you love the show and why we are the best damn fantasy football podcast on the planet where fantasy meets reality. Because the more subscriptions, ratings, and reviews that we get, the more people we can reach and help, guide you to a fantasy football championship. And we have gotten quite a few 5-star ratings and reviews in the past week or so. So thank you for that. And I thank you ahead of time for anybody who's going to leave one.
There you go. Appreciate it as always. We definitely notice it, that's for sure. Anthony, really quick, before we get into the draft, though, let's do our trending topics / news. That trending topic or that news bit being Ezekiel Elliott. We thought he was in a little bit of hot water after an incident in Vegas. Turns out he met with the league. Everything's going to be just fine. He is not going to be suspended. Anthony, I mean, we talked about this on Twitter, talking to some folks on Twitter. I mean, I didn't think he was going to be suspended. You didn't think so either. It didn't really sound like that big of a deal. It just sounded probably like a bigger deal because it is Ezekiel Elliott and his history. Anything to comment on your beloved Cowboys?
Happy, extremely happy that he's not getting a suspension. You're right. I never really thought that he was going to get one, especially when they have, Kareem Hunt and what's going on with him and also Tyreek Hill looming. Because if you give Ezekiel Elliott something and you don't give the other guys enough, then you're really digging yourself into a hole if you're Roger Goodell, and there's the conspiracy theorists who already believe that he has, a hard-on for Ezekiel Elliott.
Well, Roger Goodell's been digging a hole since he got in there, pretty much. The moment he became commissioner, he just started digging the hole. But I hear what you're saying. But listen, yeah, good for Zeke. And listen, the hope for Zeke, if you're a dynasty owner for Zeke, this comes with the territory. You're riding the wave, and he's going to get in trouble again at some point. Something's going to happen, and you're just going to hope it's not too severe and hope he doesn't catch a suspension. But for now, we can all take a nice sigh of relief.
I said it before.
Yeah.
If Jerry Jones is going to invest in Ezekiel Elliott, then he needs to invest into an entourage to keep him out of trouble. And I know he did something similar with Dez. And I know he has, support players, former players on staff who try to help out. You need to get some of these guys with Ezekiel Elliott and get him out of these situations before they come a situation.
Absolutely. All right. So there you go. On that note, we will head over to our mock draft now. Now, just so you know, this is an SFB9 mock draft. So for you folks on Twitter, if you're in the fantasy football realm, you should know what SFB9 is. If not, you can head on over to scottfishbowl.com. Check out all the details there. Very fun league, 1,200 teams. We're going to be doing a draft right now. Anthony, you're going to be drafting from the number 1 position because that's where you'll be drafting on Monday. I will be at number 5. Just a quick rundown, folks, of a couple things. It's 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receiver, tight end. Then there's 4 flex positions, which one of those could be a quarterback. If you're counting at home, that is 11 total in your starting lineup with 11 on the bench. So 22 on the roster. And the points is what's interesting. And if any of you are doing SFB for the first time, it is, Anthony, you probably agree with this. You have to check the scoring format. Scott always changes it a little bit each and every year. You get your 6 points for passing touchdowns, 4 points negated for interceptions. Another 2 points for that interception goes back for a touchdown. Standard 1 point for 25 passing yards. There is some passing points for 2-point conversions. Anthony, where it gets really tricky here again. And again, guys, go to scottfishbowl.com for the full breakdown. But tight ends, again, are favored as wide receivers, running backs. They get half a point per reception, half a point for first down. But tight ends get a full point per reception and a full point for first down. So the Travis Kelce's of the world look mighty good. Anthony, anything to add on to the scoring or the league format?
Now, you have a list of some of the more productive players with this current scoring system with the video game achievement tiers. And you said Ezekiel Elliott would have hit it how many times?
Ezekiel Elliott, because, by the way, and thank you for that, Anthony, because actually it's one of the bonus points there is that it's every 50 yards, you get 5 points. So every 50 yards rushing, every 50 yards receiving, that's 5 points. So that's if it's 150 yards rushing, let's say, which Zeke is very capable of, that's 15 points right there. Ezekiel Elliott hit that mark 23 times, which was a league high last year. So it was him with 23, Todd Gurley behind him with 19, and Chris Carson in third with 18.
Wow.
So there you go. So there's that. But yeah,
Chris Carson is always one of those underdrafted running backs.
Right. And then as far as the yardage with every 50 yards receiving, you get 5 points. Nobody should be surprised here that the leader there was Julio Jones with 28, DeAndre Hopkins with 25, and then Anthony, a tie for third with your boy Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans.
Okay.
So there you go. So yeah, just putting a couple numbers together there, but Anthony, I guess if you're ready, you want to just get to this draft now?
Yeah, let's start the draft, and I am picking from the 1 hole, and it's really down to 2 players for me, and it's Ezekiel Elliott and Christian McCaffrey. And if we didn't hear the clarification we did about Zeke not receiving suspension, come Monday's draft, I was really considering Christian McCaffrey, but since Ezekiel Elliott is in the clear, it's hard not to take him with all the positives. The going into 2019, including the Travis Frederick return. And also something a little bit underrated, which could work into that whole Dallas offense's favor, is Matt Moore being the offensive coordinator and them kind of shipping Scott Linehan out of town.
All right. So it's going to be Zeke for you then?
Yes, sir, it is. And
all right. And yeah, Christian McCaffrey, when we're talking about these bonus points I was talking about earlier, 16 times he hit 50 or more rushing yards. 11 times it was 50 plus on the receiving end. So quite a bit of bonus points there for Christian McCaffrey as well.
Off air, Mike was worried about what he was going to be left with at the 5-hole, and looks like all those running backs are gone.
Right.
You were worried about the artificial intelligence of the sleeper computer.
I was. I didn't trust him. But, joke's on me. But, yes, Ezekiel Elliott goes number 1, Saquon Barkley number 2, Alvin Kamara, and then Christian McCaffrey. I am picking 5 in this particular case, and I got to be honest. I don't know who from the Yoshi division is listening, but I honestly don't know what I'm going to do here with this 5th pick on Monday. I do have a couple names in mind. Today, I'm going in this mock draft. I'm actually going to go with, let's roll with David Johnson.
Oh,
I believe in the turnaround here. Listen, he had a rough year last year and still managed to finish as the number 10 running back. So I'm going to have some faith there. After that goes Melvin Gordon, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, Le'Veon Bell, Julio Jones, and then James Conner finishes out the first round. Then the second round goes like this: Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham, Todd Gurley. Then Travis Kelce goes off the board. And
which in the real thing, he's going in the first because his SFB9 ADP right now is in the 5-hole.
And that was, if folks want to know at home, that's who I was debating, David Johnson or Travis Kelce. I obviously went with David Johnson. Now I'm up again here with the 8th pick in the second round. I'm going to go with a wide receiver here now, and I'm going to roll with, while I think Big Ben is going to have some aggression, I love me some Juju Smith-Schuster, so we're going to lock that up right now. And now as we head back to Anthony, Antonio Brown follows Juju Smith-Schuster, then Mike Evans, then we see Leonard Fournette. Anthony, it is now your turn. Who are you thinking about picking?
Kind of, in the real thing, again, you're going to see the quarterbacks jump off early. So far, nothing is off the board yet. But I am not going to assume that Pat Mahomes is going to be sitting here for me because it's not going to happen. And I don't know if I would draft him anyway.
Right.
With the depth at the quarterback position, a lot of the running backs I was targeting here that could be still left if these quarterbacks were off the board, like a Damian Williams went in the middle of the second round. He would be one of my targets at this spot.
Yes.
So I might look at a player like a Zach Ertz or a George Kittle. Or I can go for one of your guys, Mike, in an Adam Thielen.
Yeah. See
a nice stability piece.
Yeah.
Or T.Y. Hilton.
More stable than Stephon Diggs, right?
Well, you really want to go here? We have 2 minutes on the clock.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Thielen because I like to build my team, especially early, with stability pieces and consistent pieces. And starting off Zeke and Thielen, I think that is something I would absolutely love to do. And then I'm going to roll with one of these tight ends. As much as I like George Kittle, Zach Ertz has been one of the most targeted tight ends in the league in the past, 3 years?
Yep.
Saw somewhere close to a little over 9 targets per game with Carson Wentz last year, and that's the direction I'm going to go to. I think it's going to continue.
All right, there you go. And now we see, so Zach Ertz comes off the board, Keenan Allen, Marlon Mack, AJ Green. Now, Anthony, at this point,
do I even have this set to SuperFlex?
You should.
I do.
You do, yeah. And that's what I was going to mention is the fact that Pat Mahomes is still sitting there in the third round. I can assure you that with the 5th pick in the third round, Pat Mahomes will not be there. So do not treat this mock as gospel. So there you go. I almost want to just take him, but it's, he won't be there for me anyway. So I'm just going to bypass him for now. For me, it's looking at I would like to stick back with the running back position. I can go with Aaron Jones. I can go with a Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's not going to give you much in the passing game, but he did show you ability for some big yardage games, and I do think that they are going to utilize that. See, I'm buying into Derrick Henry. I don't understand how this mindset, years past, it was all about hype for Derrick Henry, and his ADP was too high. Now he gave you something last year, and now to me his ADP seems a little low. I'm not sure how you feel about that, Anthony, but right now I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. So I've got David Johnson and Derrick Henry now. Aaron Jones follows Derrick Henry, then finally Pat Mahomes. So we've got
two rounds too late.
We've restored order here in this draft. Then Devontae Freeman, Josh Jacobs, Amari Cooper. Then George Kittle goes off the board, and then with the final pick in the third round goes T.Y. Hilton. And after that, I'm having some trouble scrolling down, so I'm not sure. Anthony, who's next on that list? Can you see? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I got you.
Mark Ingram, Lindsey, Tyreek Hill, Diggs, Kerryon Johnson, Edelman, Cooks.
Yeah, there we go. Gorgeous. All right, so now it is back to me. I've got two running backs. I've got a wide receiver picked here so far. At this point, I can go tight end, or I can wait a little bit longer. Right now, I think I'm going to lock up. You know what? Actually, I'm going to lock up a quarterback. And I think in this particular case, I am going to lock up Andrew Luck. So I've got a quarterback now. Because remember, it's SuperFlex, so one of those flexes can be a quarterback. After that goes Chris Carson, David Montgomery, then Sony Michel Maibel. Anthony, you're up. Who are you selecting?
I'm obviously going to go quarterback here, and one of my targets in the Scott Fish Bowl is Aaron Rodgers. In the SFB, you get deducted for interceptions and pick sixes. So if you're going to go with one of these top-end quarterbacks, I feel most comfortable going with Aaron Rodgers, who threw, 2 picks?
Yeah, he has a history of, not giving the ball away.
And really, he has QB1 upside.
Of course.
If everything clicks in this offense, I think people forget just who and what Aaron Rodgers is.
People get a little carried away.
Potential regression from Pat Mahomes.
Right.
Because I would be shocked if Mahomes threw for 50 again, or even 45.
I think you're looking at that 35 to 40. 40 wouldn't shock me.
I would say 32 to 35 to be safe.
All right. Fair enough. All right, so there you go. So there's another pick. Anthony, you've got the bookend picks, of course. So you are now up again in the 5th round. Who are you taking here?
Here, my guy, Kenyon Drake, is sitting here for me. You know how I feel about Kenyon Drake? What his upside can be. Finished RB 14 PPR league, saw us on 7.5 carries per game. I think his workload is going to go up. Underwhelming depth chart behind him. So, a Kenyon Drake, a player with his RB1 upside sitting here in the 5th round, start of the 5th round. It's hard to pass up.
All right. So there you go. So there goes Kenyon Drake, followed by Kenny Galladay, Robert Woods, Calvin Ridley, and now it is back to me again. Oh, let me see here. I've got my quarterback. At this point, I think I might dip into You know what I'm going to go with, actually? I'm going to go with another running back because I'm going to look at the pass catching, so forth. I'm going to go with Tariq Cohen. Let's lock up Tariq Cohen.
Yeah?
Yep, Tariq Cohen. So I'll lock that up. I like the potential for the bonus points. Then we see O.J. Howard, Mike Williams, Cooper Kupp, Deshaun Watson, Tyler Lockett, Jarvis Landry, Sammy Watkins. Starting off your 6th round with Darius Geis, Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield, Hunter Henry, Tevin Coleman, Lamar Miller, and then DJ Moore. So right now, see, I had debated going tight end in the 5th round. I decided to go with Tariq Cohen with a little bit of depth at the running back position. Now I'm going to go tight end, and I'm going to go with Evan Ingram as my tight end. Like that pick a lot. I think he'll get a lot of volume there with the Giants. After that goes Tyler Boyd, Matt Ryan, James White, and now it is back to one Anthony Cervino.
I'm going to go receiver here, and there are 3 receivers I really, really like sitting here for me with the final pick in the 6th round, and that's Robbie Anderson, Dante Pettis, and Christian Kirk. And at this point, I am probably going to take 2 of those 3 at the turn. It's going to be Pettis. I think he is one of the best route runners in the NFL. He was, a top 20 or so wide receiver for a 4-game stretch before his injury last year, and that was with Nick Mullins.
Right.
And now when you factor in Jimmy Garoppolo, Pettis can have a big season if he can stay on the field. So it's going to be Pettis. And another player that I really like going into his 2nd year, similar situation, Christian Kirk managed to compile a couple of nice games with, I believe, Josh Rosen under center last year with the Cardinals. You're going to get Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's air raid philosophy. You're going to see a lot of multi 3, 4 wide receiver sets. I think they're going to run multiple slot wideouts as well. So Christian Kirk, that's the direction I'm going to go here.
All right,
and this is with Allen Robinson, Will Fuller, and Robbie Anderson, and Jeffrey still on the board.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. So there goes Christian Kirk, followed by Darrell Henderson, Eric Ebron, Allen Robinson. Then Anthony, I am up. So I'm actually going to go with a wide receiver you mentioned that you decided to pass up. I'm going to go with Alshon Jeffrey here. I get it. Things are a little bit quiet in Philly. Folks are a little trepidatious about Carson Wentz. You know that about us here on the FF Faceoff. But I still think that Alshon Jeffrey is the guy who can produce, kind of lying in the weeds here in this draft. So I'm going to kind of pluck him up here. Alshon Jeffrey. After that goes Rashad Penny, Will Fuller, Drew Brees, Latavius Murray, Robbie Anderson. Then goes Russell Wilson. And closing out the 7th round is Vance McDonald. Getting into the 8th here, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Sterling Shepard, Royce Freeman, N'Keal Harry, Kareem Hunt, Carson Wentz, and now it is back to me. I'm officially going to stop reading off picks now because we're now in the 8th round. Anthony, I'm going to jump back into the tight end pool here. I want to get back in before it gets a little too thin, and I'm going to go with a guy that I love this year, that being Jared Cook out of New Orleans. So I've got 2 tight ends now because remember, you could flex those tight ends and they get more points. So smart move. Anthony, you are up. Who are you taking with your 2 picks?
It's tough. Running back is getting thin here.
That it is.
And I want a back that can potentially see significant playing time. Or at least, a decent amount of touches. And the back that I like the most of all these players sitting here, I might just fade the position altogether right now. I think it's too early, and you know who my guy is. It's Justice Hill. I feel like it's still a little too early to go. Running backs are going heavy here, so I'm going to go with another wide receiver.
Okay.
You have the Marvin Jones, Fitzgerald, Allison, Corey Davis, Sutton, all still on the board. And I've been talking up Geronimo Allison a lot. I do want a share of a Green Bay receiver to pair with my Aaron Rodgers. If Allison can stay on the field, I don't think wide receiver 2 upside is too much to ask.
All right.
My biggest issues with him are the injuries.
Right, of course. All right, so then there goes that. Now, who are you taking with your next pick?
Probably I'm going to go running back. LaShawn McCoy. And then there's your guy, Donta Foreman. I can't buy into Donta Foreman as much as other people. I think McCoy might have some juice left in the tank. Buffalo revamped their offensive line, brought in the former Raiders tight end Lee Smith, who's one of the better run-blocking tight ends in the NFL. So I'm going to go McCoy and hope that, they try to either give him a few more touches than they did last year, or they could potentially trade him as he's in a contract year.
Okay, so there you go. So Anthony's picks, Geronimo Allison, LeSean McCoy. I am up now with the 5th pick in the 9th round. I'm going to jump back into running back really quick here, and I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon. I know Tevin Coleman, they're saying he's going to be the man, and while I believe that, I still think Jerick McKinnon is going to get some love here in this backfield. And listen, if anything from San Francisco taught you anything last year, the next running back is just one injury away. So I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon as my next running back. I feel like I've got some decent depth there at the running back position. We're going to wait for this sucker to come around. Some quarterbacks coming off the board here now, Anthony. Just for reference, for those who don't normally draft here in SFB drafts, I have a feeling quarterbacks will be going a little bit faster than how they're going in this mock draft. So be a little mindful of that once you get into your drafts, because again, you can SuperFlex. So with Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, and now Ben Roethlisberger going off the board before I'm able to pick again, I am now going to go with the quarterback position. I've already got Andrew Luck locked up. So now you're looking at Jameis Winston, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Jimmy Garoppolo. For me, the two guys I'm really looking at here are Jameis Winston and Dak Prescott. Those are the two names I'm really keeping an eye on here. In this particular case, and no, this isn't just because I'm drafting with Anthony Cervino, I think I'm going to go Jameis Winston here. I think he's going to air this ball out here, Winston. I think that they're going to give him every chance to succeed in this offense this year. So I'm going to go with Jameis Winston as my second quarterback. Anthony, it is now to you. I got to imagine you're going with one of these two picks here. Let's see it.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dak. And in a lot of my SFB mocks with, live human beings, the quarterbacks are going early, and I'm ending up with, a Rodgers and a Dak or a Rodgers and a Winston. Winston is a lot more careless and erratic with the football than Dak Prescott, and that is something that Bruce Arians is going to hope to change. I love the pick for you. A ton of pass-catching weapons. He's going to be playing from behind a lot. You have to imagine with, this defense is going to be terrible.
Right.
So I would be happy with either guy, but I'm getting Dak, and Dak is another quarterback. What I mentioned, I want these low interception quarterbacks, and Dak is very careful with the football.
And Jameis Winston is not, so that might not have been a great pick.
It wouldn't surprise me if Rodgers and Dak combined for fewer than 15 picks?
Heck,
even less.
I would sign up for that. Absolutely.
With my other pick, seeing what's available right now, I do want to lock up another tight end here, but I think I'm going to wait. And I do want to get my running back now in Justice Hill because Mark Ingram's 29. I understand they signed the contract, but is he going to be that featured workhorse, or is he going to cede some touches? And if he does cede touches, they're going to go in Justice Hill's direction. And if Mark Ingram goes down, Gus Edwards is an empty in the receiving game, and I'm going to imagine Justice Hill could benefit in that direction too.
All right, so there you go.
Justice Hill is one of my most owned players in mock drafts, in my dynasty drafts, everywhere. I'm getting Justice Hill.
All right, well done. So there's Anthony's two picks, Dak Prescott, Justice Hill. Unfortunately for me, I was going to go Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but he went a couple picks before I was up. Now I'm taking a look at things again. I am going to still stick with the wide receiver position, and I'm actually going to go with, Anthony mentioned this, trying to get a little share of your quarterback, his wide receiver. I'm going to go with that as well, and I'm going to go with that in the form of Devin Funchess, because I think Devin Funchess, I've been buying into him more and more.
Me too.
I think he's going to eat up some of those Eric Ebron touchdowns. Don't worry, folks. Ebron will still be relevant in fantasy. But I'm going to go with Devin Funchess here. try and get some touchdown points there. Probably won't get me a ton of yards, but nevertheless. All right, Anthony, now it's circling around. We see some more tight ends going off the board. Are you panicking a little bit with the tight end position? Or
well, I already have Ertz.
You have Ertz.
I have Ertz.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm panicking, but I do want to lock up tight end 2 here.
Right. All right. So I actually myself want to also lock up a tight end as well. I see a sneaky one there. I may wait a little bit, actually. You know what? I'm going to wait on that because you're going to take a tight end. I don't know how many times it's going to go between now and the time, but I'm going to gamble on that one. You know what? I'm going to jump back in just in case. See, this is where it gets tough because you know what? Sometimes it pays to get 3 quarterbacks, obviously. You want a couple quarterbacks in that lineup. God forbid anybody gets hurt.
I mean, Garoppolo. I had Garoppolo last year, and it crippled me in the Scott Fish Bowl and in a few SuperFlex startups.
Right. So in this particular case, I'm going to go with a guy who's I don't know how many passing yards he's going to get. I don't know how efficient he's going to be, but I know one thing: he'll damn well be able to run. I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson here because I can get the bonus points for the 50 rushing yards. Lord knows he'll be able to pull that off. So there's my third quarterback. Then it goes Trey Burton, Dante Moncrief, Greg Olsen. Anthony, it is now to you.
You know, the artificial intelligence or lack thereof computer took Trey Burton, and I'm not mad because I was going to be in a predicament between Trey Burton and Jimmy Graham. I've done a lot of shows this offseason and raving about these, 13th, 14th round PPR tight ends. You get a lot of targets with either one of those players. I think Burton, especially entering his second year in this system and the second year in the starter, I think he could have a bigger year than he had last year. And his last season totals were really derailed by a 5-game touchdown drought in the second half. I'm going to go Jimmy Graham here. I'm going to try for a little bit more Aaron Rodgers stack. Graham had, 91 targets. Didn't quite see enough in the red zone. And I think a second year with Aaron Rodgers and getting that familiarity together, Jimmy Graham could benefit. And with his size, he is still a matchup nightmare. If he sees 80, 90 targets again, with his touchdown upside and getting a player with Jimmy Graham's upside, in your standard drafts, even in the 14th round, he could certainly return value.
Absolutely. And while unfortunately I'm not able to pull up the numbers right now, don't forget when Jimmy Graham had his first year in Seattle, it was pretty disappointing. He came back those next 2 years and he really lit it up, kind of revived his career a little bit. So who knows? Maybe you can get a repeat performance there. But, Anthony, you were back on the clock with the 13th round, first pick. Where do you think you want to roll with here?
I'm going to address running back or wide receiver. I feel like it's been a while since I took a wide receiver. And looking what's still out there, Paris Campbell, Tyrell Williams, who I don't really want a lot of Tyrell Williams shares with Oakland.
Right.
My guy, Marquise Goodwin, who I'm starting to buy into a little bit more. But I already have a little bit of Dante Pettis, so I'm not going to touch him. Couple of 49ers. You have Debo.
Yeah.
Running back might be the way to go. Nyheim Hines or Matt Breida, that's the direction I'm going to go to right now. Or you know what? I think I'm going to go a little bit deeper, and I am going to roll with C.J. Anderson, who I've been liking more and more lately. The Detroit Lions are going to try to run the ball more. All signs are pointing them to establish the run and be a ground and pound team under Matt Patricia's philosophy. Kerryon Johnson missed a lot of time last year. And if Kerryon goes down again, it's going to be C.J. Anderson. And we saw how effective he was with the Rams, albeit it was the Rams and he had a tremendous supporting cast. I still think he can be effective in Detroit, especially on the goal line.
All right. So there you go. So there's Anthony's next pick. Now it is my turn. And yeah, I'm looking here at wide receiver. I'm looking here. I'm going to go back to tight end, and I'm going to take yet another tight end. And this time, maybe I'm dipping my toe in too much into the Indianapolis Colts pool here, but I'm going to go with Jack Doyle. I think this is kind of a sneaky pick here because Jack Doyle is going to be the guy. We had said this last year before he got injured. While Ebron would be the goal line guy, Jack Doyle is going to be in between there, in between the red zones there. He's going to get a lot of that work, and that could result in plenty of first downs. That can result in a couple 50-yard games and scatter a couple touchdowns in there. Jack Doyle could be a relevant tight end in an SFB9. So I'm going to go with Jack Doyle here. And Anthony, as we circle back around, I'm curious for your take on that pick.
On Jack Doyle?
Yes.
I don't mind it. He still saw, he played in 6 games, 7 red zone targets, so it's not like he was totally depleted in that category. Got you 10.1 PPR points a game in his limited opportunities. There is a lot of pass catchers, a lot of capable pass catchers in the offense. But yeah, I don't mind Jack Doyle because the Indianapolis Colts, they were number 4 team in the NFL in passing plays per game, 41.4 passing plays ran a game last year.
All right, there you go. All right, now it's back to me again with the 8th pick in the 14th round. It is getting mighty thin out there. That is one thing you will notice about these SFB9
and Doyle
drafts.
caught 6 of his 7 red zone targets.
There you go. I'm telling you, I like that pick of Jack Doyle, to be quite honest with you. So next up for me, I'm going to go with actually a running back. I'm going to go with a little bit of insurance. I'm going to go with Malcolm Brown of the Rams here. Just in case Todd Gurley can't go the whole year, I've got an insurance policy late. So I'm going to snag him up now. I think I'm officially done with running backs. Anthony, you are now up with the, 12th pick in the 14th round.
I'm going to look at what other quarterbacks are left. And there's not much, but this is going to be my 3rd quarterback. This is going to be my insurance policy. And you have the Matt Stafford, Darnold, Foles, Dalton. There's actually a little bit more than I thought. And again, at this point in the real deal, you're going to be left with Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait on the quarterback. I'm going to see what else is there, wide receiver-wise, a couple of rookies, Samuel, Andy Isabella, who could really be a stud. Now, I have Kirk and Dante Pettis already. Do I mind doubling down on, on these wide receiver cores? And I think I'm going to.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go Andy Isabella on the Cardinals.
I like it. I'm going to be honest. I was debating him before I ended up taking Malcolm Brown, so I like the pick a lot. And yeah,
they're going to pass a ton. They're going to run multiple slot receivers, and now I have both because it's not going to be Hakeem Butler.
No.
Or as the Podfather, the great Podfather, like calls him, Hakeem Bustler.
Yeah,
I love that. Fan. I love that.
He's not a fan of Hakeem Butler. He is not. No, that's a fact.
And,
all right, well, you got your back-to-back picks.
I do. My other pick at the turn, I think it's tremendous value because he is going to be the RB2 while Kareem Hunt serves a suspension with the Browns behind Nick Chubb. And Duke Johnson is a player that could potentially be on the move once Kareem Hunt returns from his suspension. I mean, could you imagine having your Duke Johnson shares break out in the middle of the season because Tampa Bay makes a move for him or a team like that? And at this point in the draft, I want my lottery tickets that can potentially either step into a starting role if the starter goes down, or they're a pass-catching back in a half-point PPR league like this. So I'm going to go with Duke Johnson.
All right. There you go. Shoring up another running back.
You know I love my running backs.
You do. You do. I'm going to go wide receiver here, actually, and I'm going to go with a guy who had an abbreviated season last year, but there's still quite a bit of optimism around him, even though still not sure if he's going to be ready for camp or not, but I'm going to go with a guy 26 receptions last year, 391 yards, 4 touchdowns, that being Mr. Albert Wilson at wide receiver. I like the potential there in Miami. I understand they're not going to win a lot of football games, but there is fantasy potential there for Mr. Wilson. So that's my pick there.
I love that Wilson pick.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I'm liking this team so far. I would not be upset if this is how it all shakes out. Again, we'll see. Every one other thing you'll notice too, by the way, if you're new to SFB drafts, every draft is different. When you go on Twitter and you see people talking about their respective drafts, they're all different. And that's the other thing. Don't be a slave to ADP, especially in this draft, because it's a crapshoot. Right, Anthony?
Yeah, and ADP in any draft, it's a guide.
Right.
If you have your player, don't wait. No matter where the ADP is, because if you're drafting against 11 other people, chances are somebody else likes that player too.
Absolutely. To me, listen, again, and I know I just said all drafts are different, but again, I can't imagine this guy is going to be on the board at this point. I'm going to take him anyway just because I'm going to get some insurance at the quarterback position. I mean, Anthony talked about it. He had Jimmy Garoppolo last year. I had Jimmy Garoppolo as well. Came back to bite us both. So I'm going to get another insurance policy on top of the fact.
What's that? Flacco, Eli.
I would rather take this Mac and close it and smash it on my table here. So, no, it will not be Joe Flacco. I don't want that kind of unsexiness on my roster. No, I'm going to go with Mr. Sam Darnold of the New York Jets. He'll be airing it out, whether it's short yardage to Le'Veon Bell or whether it's deep to Robbie Anderson. So, Sam Darnold for me, again, I don't expect him to be there in the 16th round. I would think that would be a steal. Anthony, you are now up with 2 picks.
Now, I am going to get my third quarterback here, and these are the type of players that I'm expecting on the board by time I'm ready to take my third quarterback. Would be an Andy Dalton, a Mariota, Flacco, Eli Manning, or even a Dwayne Haskins. There's been mocks, whether, you could take this into a regular SuperFlex mock, including the Scott Fishbowl. Haskins is going to play at some point. And they're going to see what they have. So I wouldn't mind a player like Haskins if you're really going to wait on a third quarterback. But I'm going to grab Andy Dalton. I think he has the opportunity to bounce back. I know they took a significant blow losing their left tackle for the season, their first-round left tackle. But this is another team that is going to pass the ball a ton with a bad defense. I like, their supporting cast, whether it's A.J. Green, if he can stay on the field, Tyler Eifert, if he can stay on the field, and of course, Tyler Boyd and, Joe Mixon, who is poised for a breakout season. So I'm going to go Dalton here. Let's see what else is available. Looking at tight ends, I wouldn't mind going for, what would be my third tight end?
I believe so, yeah.
Still some quality pieces here, and I think, with the tight end first down bonus and the full point PPR, I know Jason Witten isn't going to, get you 600-700 yards, but if he catches 50 passes in a scoring system like the Scott Fishbowl, he could really return some value, and you're not going to start him every week. But, right. Ertz, he's always good to miss a game or two, and Witten wouldn't be a bad bye-week replacement, especially if he's playing with the Giants.
Okay.
Because he destroys the Giants.
All right, so there you go. So there goes Andy Dalton and Jason Witten, Anthony's next 2 picks. After that, we get a trio of wide receivers in the form of Jamison Crowder, John Brown, and then Travis Benjamin. I'm going to go one more running back really quick, and I'm going to go with TJ Yeldon. I know it's a crowded backfield there in Buffalo, but if there is some pass catching going on, it may very well be Yeldon being the lead receiver out of those running backs. So I'm going to go TJ Yeldon. Anthony, you like that pick of Yeldon or what? I know it's a crowded backfield. We talked about that on one of our previous episodes.
I'm a TJ Yeldon guy because of my previous love for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's been productive in that backfield. All the talk in Buffalo has been about LaShawn McCoy, Devin Singletary, and Frank Gore are the guys getting the first team reps. I haven't heard a peep from TJ Yeldon but it's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, we will sure as heck find out.
Here's a note in a Scott Fishbowl mock draft, the one that was just completed with real people. Your last run of quality quarterbacks, which was Mariota, Flacco, Rosen, Manning, went in the 13th round.
Jesus, yeah.
So this mock draft is about 3 rounds behind.
Right.
But that's what you're really looking at. Right around round 13 is when that last run of starters are going off the board. Then round 14, your Daniel Jones went. And then 17, you can get a player like, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, now it's back up to me here in the 18th round. So we're getting ready to finish off this draft. I'm going to go back-to-back Buffalo Bills here. Now I'm going to roll with a wide receiver. I'm going to roll with Zay Jones. Zay Jones did pretty well for himself last year. Kind of a bounce-back year, if you ask me. I like him to build on the rapport with Josh Allen. So I'm going to go with Zay Jones. Not a bad pick for the 18th round, if you ask me. Anthony, you are now up. What is your mindset here as you're getting ready to start to close out this draft? You've got 4 more picks left.
What is my mindset? It's lottery tickets. It's players with, either on a bad team who catch passes at the running back position, handcuffs, or, steals like a Zay Jones, because to me, he's still a great value, despite the fact they added a Cole Beasley and a John Brown, and they still have Robert Foster. I mean, Zay Jones, had how many double-digit point games from week 6 on, and in the middle of the year, he had a nice little run of week 10, 23.3 points, week 13, 22.7, and then in week 16, 17.7, week 17, 27.3.
Sounds like fun to me.
So a ton of targets in those games as well. Love that Zay Jones pick, actually.
All right, there you go.
I'm going to grab a running back, and this is a running back, during your hiatus, Vince McMahon lingo.
Yeah.
I did a show with Jim Day, and it was right around the time we heard that Chase Edmonds is going to retain a role in this backfield, regardless of David Johnson's status. And I've been getting a lot of Chase Edmonds late, and he's going to be my first pick here. What if David Johnson suffers an injury and all of a sudden there's that opportunity for Chase Edmonds, who didn't look terrible last year in his rookie season?
Big opportunity, too.
And now I'm going to go, the wide receiver is pretty ugly. I will say that, whatever's left. I want to take a look at my team. I want to see what my balance is with running backs and wide receivers. Damn, I draft a lot of running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's going to change now. I think I'm going to go running back again. And I'm going to go with Alfred Blue in Jacksonville. Behind Leonard Fournette, who comes with that injury risk. And we saw when Lamar Miller missed a couple of games last year, Blue wasn't terrible, wasn't great. But if Leonard Fournette goes down, you have Raquel Armstead, the rookie, and Alfred Blue.
All right, so you're locking that up. All right, so that pick is in. So there goes Chase Edmonds, Alfred Blue, Anthony continuing to stack running backs on top of running backs. After that goes John Ross, Taylor Gabriel, Philip Dorsett. It is now up to me, and who I'll be
I feel like
selecting.
I have 3 wide receivers.
You might, actually. You might, and I feel like I have too many. So there you go. So there's that. It is now up to me. Taking a look, and listen, it's getting thin just about everywhere you look, whether you're selecting quarterback here, running back, wide receiver, tight end, it's all getting a little bit thin. If I'm taking a look here, I'm going to go with, let's roll with another tight end. Let's roll with Darren Waller out of Oakland. Get an Oakland tight end in there. Carr liked his tight end last year. Could have been because he didn't have a lot to throw to. Nevertheless, if he does lean on tight end, I do like the potential for a little lottery ticket there for maybe a bye-week replacement for some points there. Now it is back to me, unfortunately, again, with the thin roster. 3 picks left to go, this being now the 20th round. So again, this draft, it is a marathon, to be quite clear. Anthony, I'm not quite sure who I'm going to roll with here. It is thin just about everywhere. My goodness. Have fun with this, Anthony, when it gets back to you.
I'm trying.
What's that?
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm puzzled right now.
Yeah, I believe it. All right. This particular pick here, I'm going to go with, you know what? Just in case if there's a couple injuries at the wide receiver position, I'm going to go with Josh Reynolds with the Rams. Just in case we get some injuries there at wide receiver. And that's what you're looking at here, folks. You're looking at insurance policies. You're looking at lottery tickets. When you're this late, you're looking for some value potentially.
I like that pick. That was my direction.
No, sorry to break your heart, but now you are up for 2 picks.
So, yeah, okay, lottery tickets. What's left? Not much. I'm going to go Deontay Johnson, the rookie from Pittsburgh.
I like it.
Because, what's ahead of him at that wide receiver 2 spot? Dante Moncrief, been there, done that. I just can't buy in. Sorry, everybody, I can't. And also James Washington, who didn't show us much last season. I believe he was even out-targeted by Ryan Switzer. So Deontay Johnson, you never know, with a strong camp, strong preseason, he could be looking at, some significant reps earlier in his career. And I'm going to go another receiver. One I'm thinking about is Justin Watson, who could potentially be the wide receiver 3 on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we know we talked about that offense earlier with your Jameis Winston pick. They're going to pass a ton. I am leaning Justin Watson. I like Dontrell Inman with the Patriots. Jerron Brown has been talked up a little bit in Seattle, but there's not going to be a lot of opportunity, I don't believe, for him. So it's between Justin Watson on Dontrell Inman, and I think I'm going to go Justin Watson here. Because what if Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, what if they go down? I know they have Rashad Perriman, but I think Watson could be that player who steps into a significant role in that offense.
Okay. I like it. Not bad. All right. So there you go. Anthony finally breaking the trend of running backs selected. He selects 2 wide receivers now. And for me at this point, I'm going to go with, and listen, I get it. Given who's in front of him, he's not the sexiest name. But I am going to go with, just in case if Zeke gets in trouble, case if they decide to sit Zeke for a game, maybe they got a playoff spot locked up. Anthony Cervino certainly thinks they will. I'm going to go with Tony Pollard here at the running back position.
Love it.
Case again. Yeah. Listen, I think Zeke will be durable, so you're not really – and listen, you don't want to hope for injuries on guys anyway. And in that case, I'm banking on the Cowboys having a division locked up potentially, or maybe Zeke gets in trouble fast enough that he's got to sit. One of those sorts of things. Shows up late for practice, whatever, what have you. Insurance policy, Tony Pollard. And yeah, I do. I feel rather good about that pick, actually, to get him. Now it is up to me with my last pick here in this SFB9 mock. You know what? You had a couple injuries last year to O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard could not stay healthy. So you know what? I'm going to go one more tight end, and I'm going to go with Cameron Brate, just in case Howard can't stay healthy. Lock up my last tight end. Anthony, you will now have the task of selecting Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, there's some good tight end value left, and I don't know.
Anthony, only one problem though. Anthony,
yes,
well, just one problem. You missed out on Ty Montgomery.
Oh God,
poor guy. Anyway, as you were.
Even in like the mock I was talking about earlier with the Real Humans, the SFB mock that I just wrapped up, I was able to get an Ian Thomas as my Mr. Irrelevant.
Okay.
Which isn't terrible, In this one, you have Will Dissly still on the board, who could potentially be Seattle's starter.
Yep.
You have Jesse James, and despite the fact the Lions drafted T.J. Hawkinson, there are the reports that they're going to be running a ton of 12 personnel, possibly even seeing 3 tight ends on the field a lot this year. You have Everett from the Rams, Matt LaCosse. But the player who I'm going to take, and I don't expect him to be here, is Mike Gesicki. I do not expect Mike Gesicki to be here in the real SFB.
Yes.
But for most of this draft, I was drafting certain players. I'm going to draft Gesicki here just for the hell of it.
That's a wonderful pick.
Right?
Absolutely. I love that pick. All right, so there you go. So our draft is now complete.
You're going to read off these teams?
I will read off my roster, then you can read off yours. I've got David Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Derrick Henry, Andrew Luck at quarterback, Tariq Cohen, Evan Ingram, Alshon Jeffrey, Jared Cook at tight end, Jerick McKinnon. My second quarterback is Jameis Winston, Devin Funchess. Then I go Lamar Jackson, Jack Doyle, Malcolm Brown, Albert Wilson. My last quarterback is Sam Darnold, which he will not be there at that point, but be that as it may. Then I go TJ Yeldon, Zay Jones, Darren Waller, Josh Reynolds, Tony Pollard, and then Cameron Brate. I like the roster. Well-rounded.
It is, but I like mine more.
Okay, fair enough.
I do like mine more. Ezekiel Elliott, Adam Thielen, Zach Ertz, Aaron Rodgers, really nice, solid, stable players with my first 4 picks. Kenyon Drake, and then the string of wide receivers going Pettis, Kirk, and Geronimo Allison. Came back, got LaShawn McCoy in the 9th, and then my second quarterback, Dak Prescott in the 10th. Justice Hill, Jimmy Graham, C.J. Anderson, Andy Isabella, Duke Johnson, Andy Dalton, a couple of Andys. Jason Witten, Chase Edmonds, Alfred Blue, Deontay Johnson, Justin Watson, Gesicki. The only thing I might have changed, instead of going Alfred Blue, maybe going a wide receiver there. Maybe a little bit earlier. Wouldn't make that much of a difference. But I think that's what I would have done because at that point I only had 5 wide receivers.
Quick little side bet, Anthony. You want to go with Geronimo Allison and I'll go with Marquez Valdez-Scantling this year?
What?
Make a bet.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Let's roll that up. And listen, maybe if I could fit this into a tweet, pick a snapshot of these rosters here. If I could fit that together, maybe we'll put that out there for the folks to take a vote on, see who had the better draft of the two. But again, remember, all of these SFB9 drafts are different. Anthony, do you have any words of wisdom before we sign off for folks who are drafting for the first time in SFB?
In the Scott Fish Bowl.
Yeah.
I would say, don't go into your draft, and we've stressed this a ton on this show, thinking about, hey, I did these mock drafts, and these players are going to be there because they're not. I remember my first year was SFB7, had a tremendous year. We were seeing players, and it was tight end premium. A couple of guys went with their first 4 picks. They went tight end.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Some guys went, heavy quarterback. So you're going to see a lot of different things. Kelsey's ADP, 5th pick in your hole.
Yeah.
You're going to see quarterbacks go. You said you were debating going Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, probably won't at this point.
But it could.
Yeah.
Why not?
But it was on my mind.
If you don't do it, somebody else will.
Exactly.
And these are the things you need to expect in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Do not be shocked if Mahomes goes in the first round.
Expect the unexpected.
Absolutely. And yeah, if I have any notes to tell folks, it's go to scottfishbowl.com, definitely check out the scoring format. Get that embedded into your mind, because the folks who know how to draft in this thing, that is the way in which they will draft. So, again, be mindful of the scoring. And while you're at it, scottfishbowl.com, click on the link for Fantasy Cares, of course, because let's remember this is all about something much larger than just drafting a fantasy football team. It's about raising some money for a very good cause. So there you go. So check that out as well, folks. Anthony, about to ride off into the sunset. What do you want to say?
All right. If you're listening right now in a podcast format, especially you Apple Podcast users, I said this at the top of the show. I'm going to leave you with this. Please subscribe. Please leave us a 5-star rating and a 5-star review telling everyone why you love the show and why we are the best damn fantasy football podcast on the planet, where fantasy meets reality. Because the more subscriptions, ratings, and reviews that we get, the more people we can reach. And in the end, we want to help each and every one of you win fantasy football championships, dominate your leagues, and absolutely positively crush the competition. We will maintain the culture of winning we've built here in the FF Faceoff for now almost 3 years since our inception and over 200 episodes. And Mike, for our 3rd year anniversary, it's crazy, yes, we've only been doing this for 2 years. What are we going to do? Might release our first ever episode.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Speaking of that, that's right. I forgot about that. Anthony, when did you send that to me on? Did you mention it to me on Sunday?
I think so. A couple days ago.
Yeah, I was doing a double at work, and you mentioned that to me about our very first show, and I went back and listened to that thing. Talk about having no energy. I sound like I was in a library, or I sound like I was calling the Masters. No energy, very subdued, subdued, that podcast. Yeah, maybe. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. All right.
The progression is tremendous.
Well, listen, if anything, I look good there because I think I talk about Pat Mahomes being able to unseat Alex Smith pretty quick, and that worked out.
Well,
so, if you remember.
Well,
the first of many things I went over you, right?
I mean, it took him a year.
Okay.
Alex Smith did start, 15 games?
Okay.
And he was one of the most productive quarterbacks that year.
Sure.
But you won the bet because he started his one game.
Yeah, a win's a win. Win's a win. A win's a win. So there you go, folks. So thanks for listening. Everybody have a good, safe weekend. Gear up for that SFB9 not mock, real deal. And remember, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a good weekend. Cheers.
You'll do it right to celebrate July 4th by throwing a backyard barbecue. Lowe's does it right, too, with July 4th savings to help get you started. Treat yourself to a new grill and save $50 on a Charbroil Performance 5-burner grill, now just $279. And spruce up your landscape before guests arrive and save in-store only with 5 bags of premium mulch for just $10. Whatever you need to get ready for the holiday, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 7/10 while supplies last. U.S. only. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
When it comes to investing in innovation, trust the experts. Robo Global provides laser-focused investment portfolios that deliver access to robotics, AI, and healthcare innovation globally. The H-Tech portfolio captures the technologies transforming the medical space, providing unique exposure to best-in-class companies. Investors, turn to this diversified approach backed by research from the experts. Learn more today at roboglobal.com/HTEC.